drilling down and learning how to market to them or finding out how to market to them. And an example I like to use is if you look at my localized business, Premium OC, in the last 11 months, we've been able to grab a huge market share and become one of the most relevant customization shops in Southern California in Orange County. And so, if you watched from the sidelines or watched, almost this last year, you can see a lot of things I'm going to talk about and really want to focus on that story to guide you into getting into the right places so that you can market your brand effectively, get sales, and determine your audience, right? So how do you go less than a year ago to being very well known in SoCal? And I'm going to focus on localized business today. So if you have a business that can do B2C or B2B sales in your local area, maybe a region, maybe like a state or city or county or a few counties, then this video is 100% for you. So, a year ago, my introduction to the car industry was Monterey Car Week. I actually have another buddy of mine, partner, that's starting a new company that's going to be his first introduction. But what a crazy introduction to the car industry. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know any of the brands. I knew car brands, obviously, but I didn't know aftermarket, wheels, tires, things like that. And I went to Monterey Car Week, and that was my first introduction, and it was crazy. And I fell in love. And I'll tell you what, going to Monterey Car Week, I'm going again this year. I'm pulling into a house in my 750S McLaren. This should be a little bit different with my Revolto. Put a lot of money into the build. I'm not going to talk about it because it's not public knowledge yet, but hundreds of thousands of dollars into an already expensive car. So it's going to be cool. But anyway, so I'm going to the Bugatti house. I'm in my McLaren, and they stop me, and they let 2 or 3 Bugattis in a cul-de-sac go ahead of me. They parked them in front, and they parked me in the corner. So I definitely got humbled. So you have to kind of realize what you're going to. It's a very, very, very big event. People from the country come, even world. But that was my introduction, and no one knew who I was. And so, how do you go from knowing no one to knowing almost everybody, or everybody knowing your name? And that is the key. So the first thing is, this happened pretty early in the building of this brand, but I realized that car meets and cars and coffee is super important. That a lot of car guys go to, hundreds, there's some happening all the time in SoCal. And so I have a really good friend named James, and he's with 1016, and I went to his Cars and Coffee, and I thought he was being a bag. Maybe he still is. I guess I guess we all could be bags, right? The jury's still out. But regardless, he had a contract with someone else, a different rap shop. It doesn't matter who, just the contract existed, and he said no. And so for me, and if you watch my other videos, I like to be loud. And if I can exploit something and get my name noticed, I will. And so I showed up with a supercar with premium down the side, and it worked. I showed up with a few more, and it worked. And I think the day that, there was a lot of tension was I showed up with 17 supercars, and with all premium down the sides on the front. And he didn't like that. And so I couldn't get my way. I couldn't market my brand, and he was protecting his sponsors, and I get it. I'm not going to comment further than that because we're friends now, and that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is, what am I going to do? What are we going to do when there is no way? Well, there's always a way. So I founded my own Cars and Coffee that we have about 100, 150 cars come to, and we get a few deals a week. And what do you call that? I call that a lead magnet. And so I want to create, or I want to get in front of where all my potential clients are, so I can show my work, I can have conversations, I can close deals, I can offer my services and products, and they can see the value. Because I'm not in front of anybody, my phone's not going to ring. And so I don't know about you, but cold calls are great, but with this type of business or any business, I want people to be warm calling me. I want them to have done their research, seen the product, met us, seen us online, seen our Instagram, seen our Facebook, whatever, and be calling us warm. Maybe not having an idea of what they want, but having an idea that they want to talk to us. And so that was the first step. It's like, okay, I need to have something on Saturdays where I can have people that I can talk to show them our products and services. That was the first step. The other thing I realized is, and I had to go through this a lot, I had to go to a bunch of different car meets, a bunch of different shows, a bunch of different just activities and drives and rallies to figure out, who's best. And so here it is. Here's the truth. You have to take this out. You have to take this out. Sometimes you got to buy from your competitors. Sometimes you got to a place you don't want to go. Sometimes you got to go to an event you don't want to go, but you have to use it. Sometimes it's going to be a loss, but you have to do it. You have to take it out. You have to spend money. You have to. Now, I'm not saying that you have to spend all your money. I'm just saying you have to spend money. And so most rallies have panned out. Most car meets have panned out. My Cars and Coffee has panned out. The other thing I realized is you can't have a cold shoulder with competitors either. I'm nice to everybody. I've been in the same industry before drifting to other industries for over a decade, and I've made some enemies, I've made some friends, and what I've realized and what I could take into other industries is I'm humble, I'm nice, I shake people's hands, I want to get to know them, I'm respectful, and you never know what your competitors can and can't do. And if you're nice to them and help them, they're going to help you too. Everybody at the top is collaborating. The people at the bottom are fighting. And so I shake everybody's hand. I'm nice to everybody. I ask, how they're doing. I ask how they got into the business because I actually care, because I want to know. And that has helped a ton, a tremendous ton. All the organizers of the events, I know them on a first name basis. It's important, and it's crazy because when I go to any type of event or trade show or conference, there's people that are shy that I've seen before, and they don't want to reach their hand out. And so I implore you, if that's one of you watching this video, reach your hand out, because nothing's going to happen if you just stand there. And the reason why I'm being hard on you or giving you some tough love is I was that guy. My first conference, like 13, 14 years ago, I was petrified. I was petrified to grab somebody's hand. I was petrified. I didn't, and it didn't matter. It truly didn't matter because no one's going to remember because I didn't shake anybody's fucking hand. So what was the point of being there? It wasn't until I shook somebody's hand, got the marbles out of my mouth, and started building relationships that traction started happening. And so the sooner you get over it, the sooner the better. That's basically it. Because at the end of the day, you're going to fumble the ball. You're going to have marbles. We're all fucking human. But the guy that's outworking you, that's shaking the most hands, that's going to the most meets, going to the most conferences, doing the most, he's going to end up winning. He's outworking you. So you have to reach the hand out and you have to shake a hand, right? The other thing is, I've talked about doing all these events, all these different meets, all these conferences, trade shows, right? Sometimes your audience isn't there. And so you want to be quick to weed those out. And when you find the ones that work, you want to double down on them. You want to double down on the things that work, triple down on the things that work, but there's some things that didn't work. And I weed them out completely. I kick them off to the side because I know that they're not my target audience. And so what is my target audience? My target audience is someone that can spend $4,000 to $5,000 plus on customizing their car, all the way up to $100,000, $200,000 plus. That's my target audience. And so if that's not what I'm getting, and that's not to knock anybody, I'll go hang out with friends. I'll talk cars. I'm nice to everyone, but I have to realize that if I'm going to take all my cars out, which is a lot of cars, and I'm going to invest the time in going to an event or a different place and set up, then it needs to be worth my while. I need to make sure my target audience is there, as should you. A minute ago, I flashed my credit card. You should just spend frivolously and not, have a plan behind it. You be strategic. So back to Car Week. Last year, I went to Car Week. I took out my credit card. I spent some money. It was my first introduction, like I've talked about. And I had a great time. You should always have a great time, but I think sometimes people get confused with the lifestyle versus actually working. You can do both, but as I was having a great time, I was scouting. I went to as many events as I could. I got as many tickets as I could, and I scouted where we could go, where we couldn't go, where we should go. And so this year, we're involved in a couple activities, including things like Exotics on Broadway, right? There's a Spanish Mile, that restaurant. There's a few activities that you can do that we can get placement that work for my target audience, that we're allowed to go, that we can set up, that's reasonably priced, that I think we get the maximum bang for our dollar. So this is all like in-person, word of mouth, which I think is the most important kind of marketing. Now, there's also the online capability. There's people I've met that don't even have a website, don't even have an Instagram, or if it's a poorly done Instagram, there's no way to contact them. So you do all this work, you shake all these hands, and they go to look you up. They remember you, right? Because it takes a few times to see you. I'm sure it's happened to me where I met a few people and they go look me up, and then they can't get a hold of you. That's the worst part. So every one of my businesses, if you go to any of their websites, there's a lead. I have a lead magnet, a lead form that they can fill out with all their information. So get this. They meet you, they see an ad, see your car, whatever, right? They see all that. Then they go to your website. You need to have a call to action to be able to get their information. And so for me, most people have to fill out their name, their first name, their email address, their phone number, best way to contact, what they're looking for, and they can pick some options. So I know by the time they push submit, it should be frictionless, but I've got enough information from them that by the time they push submit, they've already spent a few minutes. So I know if I call them, that they're already almost halfway there. They're warm. They want to talk to me. They've done some work. Not a ton of work, because you don't want to overwork. You want to make it too complicated. Too complicated is not having a website at all, or not having an Instagram or an easy way to contact you, right? That's too complicated. Or having way too many options. Hard website, doesn't work on mobile. So when you're out there and you're doing all this work and you're shaking hands and they can't look you up or it's hard to get a hold of you, the phone's not going to ring. So you might be thinking, well, Chris, you have all these cars. You have like $3 million in cars, Revolto, McLaren, Porsche, SF90. Doesn't matter. It does not matter. You can be unique and loud in your own way. I could get rid of all those cars and do something crazy for a budget. Maybe I should. But that's why you have to think outside the box. How do you be different? How do you get the attention? How do you grab the attention where people want to talk to you? Remember what I said, how I want warm leads? So I do put my hand out there. I do shake people's hands, but you can only meet so many people so fast. You can only go to so many events. So now when I pull up places or I pull up events or conferences or trade shows, people come up to me and they're like, oh, Chris, I've seen you before. I've seen your car. I've seen this, that I want to introduce myself. That is the way I like to market. They're coming to me already knowing who I am. And a lot of times some people think I am a or whatever, but I show up enough times that they just want to come say hi and they get to know, same thing like they look at the brand. They get to find the interaction with the brand, they get to see, okay, these guys are actually really nice. They're about their product, they're about their service, they mean well, and most of all, they have really good customer service. And so if you look at the last year, Own Cars and Coffee, I needed to figure out a way to target my target audience, which we went over. So I threw a mansion party, and since then I've thrown 2 other parties to bring people out to interact with the brand, see the build, see the cars. And what's really cool is over the last year we've been able to do some pretty big builds on about a dozen cars. And so some of those guys are coming to my party here in the next week, and we get to display those cars. And a year ago, all we had was my cars to display, which is pretty cool. And so now we got to bring clients in that have worked with us, that love their cars, love their builds, put them on display, and they promote their business, whatever they want to put on their car. And that's how these things work. And so when I put together these events, those vendors, some of them competitors, in a sense, I get to display them as well. Now, competition does breed success. I've always believed that. It pushes me to be better. Competition does breed success. I always believe that. At least it pushes me to be better. And so I think like explaining the last year, you get a gist of it. But the biggest thing, and I think the biggest takeaway, is you can't get tired. You absolutely cannot get tired. You want people to know your brand. You want them to see you. You want to do grassroots marketing. You want to do online marketing. You can't get tired. It's a marathon, not a sprint. 100%. So that South OC Cars and Coffee, James, my good friend now, the day I left that Cars and Coffee, which I've been back a few times with one car at a time, but the day I left that Cars and Coffee, I flew a plane around his event with our logo out of the box. Again, that costed a few $1,000s. If you don't have a lot of money, there's ways to do it without spending a lot of money. By giving these examples, I'm hoping that I'm helping you. But going and taking your car and parking somewhere and hoping people come talk to you when it's not that exciting, or you're not reaching your hand out, or maybe dress differently, or do a crazy build on a basic car, or hand out business cards, or have a call to action. You have to have somebody who's going to push people to talk to you. The guys that said, if you build it, they will come, was only half right. Only half right. If you build it, they're probably not going to come. You got to go out there and bring them. 100%. You have to go out there and bring them, and that's exactly what I did. It's I went out there and we brought them. 100%. Now, I need to give a big thank you to everybody involved in that business, because without the people in customer service, without a very, very good product, without the people that know how to do the ins and outs of building, of tuning, of everything to do with this example premium, I would not have a product to push a market. So I want to give a special shout out to those guys and say thank you, because that's the other thing in your business too, is you need to have a perfect product to push out. I use the word perfect very, very loosely. Nothing is perfect, but you should demand perfection in your business. 100%. I demand perfection. And so at the end of the day, when I know I have a solid team and you have a solid team doing whatever it is on your business, I'll go out and promote the hell out of it, because I know every single person that I bring in to that business is going to be treated with respect, great customer service, have an amazing product, and an amazing experience. And so because of that, I have no issue. I have no lack of confidence at all on the price, on the product, on my people, and I'll go out there and I will shake those hands and I will get in front of as many people as possible. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, well, I'll do something crazy and I'll rev or blow up a car or something, you know what I mean? No, I would not do that. It may get you a lot of clicks, but I have another cliche for you. Fast money comes and fast money leaves just as fast money came. It's true. So longevity is important. Building relationships, building a foundation is super, super important. Making sure you're in the right spots at the right times, you cultivate the right relationships, you shake enough hands. And here's the deal. I have never, ever, ever been too rich not to collaborate with somebody. I don't care if you're just starting out. I don't care if you've been around here 15 years. The 15-year guys are on the way out. The 1-year guys are on the way to the top. The 20-year guys are reinventing themselves and coming back. You just don't know. Because here's the thing I realize. All the people around me, big, small, medium, large business, they're an entrepreneur like you and me. They want to make it. And so if they're here today, I've seen so many people grow here. And I've seen so many people come back down here and go back up. So I respect everybody. I help everybody. within reason. I shake hands and I show up every day. I show up every day. And so that's the takeaway. So we can't get tired, and you have to show up every single day. You have to. There's guys that are out showing me right now, and I'm trying to catch up to them. And I'm out showing you, and they're trying to catch up to me. That's just how it works. But I need to have the mentality, and you have the mentality that I'm going to outwork the next guy. And that's precisely how we got well known in the SoCal area, is a lot of these guys. And some people are happy. Look, some people are happy. If you're watching this video and you're like, hey, I'm making money, that's great. That's great. You have a house or apartment, your kid, your dog, whatever, and you're content, that's great. But for guys like me, I don't know whatever will make me content. I'm always pushing forward to the next level. I'm always trying to evolve. I'm always trying to make more and do more. I have to keep pushing. I have to outwork the next guy. I'm competitive. Because for me, having the dollars is great. Having the money is great. But I want to be the best. So I'm always pushing myself to be the best. And so if you're like me, these are the things that I've done over the last year, candidly. So hopefully you like this video. I may have missed some things. I try to condense it as best as I could to give you a quick version instead of making an hour long. I'm more than happy to go in specifics. So if there's anything you saw that you have questions on, comment down below. I love to I love to answer all your questions. So questions, comments, whatever down below. As you know, every 100,000 subscribers, I give something away. I just picked up a 2015 BMW 428i xDrive. I have a video up, you can go check it out. Really easy to win. All you have to do is like, comment, subscribe, and enable notifications, and you're in the winning. I'll have other creative ways to win later on. Other videos, any topics, please comment down below. I'm more than happy to make any more videos. My objective here is to help people that want to be great. Thank you so much.